It's Sunday, January 26th. Kind of the status of what we've got here. This box where I had the 12 volt battery charger, I had to take that out. That battery tender doesn't work, so I'm gonna have to get something else. I'm thinking I'm really gonna need like a 10 amp charge on that lead acid battery, but maybe a 125 would be fine. It just depends on how long it's going to take the HV battery to run. So we'll do that. I'll get that going, because that battery is down to like 10 volts right now, which is no good. I left the switch on and it was powering the relay for days, all week. But let's see what we got here. I loomed this. This is kind of the stock wiring that runs along here. It's going up into here and into the trunk. And yeah, that's good. It seems like there's some extra wires. This is the e-brake switch wire, I believe. And this white wire, I'm not sure what that is, but we'll just leave it. We'll leave those in. I'll probably just loom this up. I'm not really concerned about that too much right now, but it would be fun to have all those lights and everything hooked up at a certain point. I do have to be careful because of the way the fuse box is set up, that a lot of those wires may be hot. Right? I mean, they're switched. They're just ground switches, but they could have voltage, hanging out on them. So that's gonna be of interest. Probably keep it, as I did in the trunk. There was switches with wires hanging out that I'm not using. Here's our fuse box here. I do have the hardware, so I'm going to be able to mount this up here, which is pretty exciting. The other thing I found out is that all these should be 8 amp. So they all should be white, like that really thin white one, not the blues or the reds. So I got to take all those out. And that's probably why this car had all these melted wires. They put 25 amp torpedo fuses in when they all should be white 8, which makes sense because everything in the car is I guess 12 or 14 gauge wire. But yeah, I've got some hardware to mount that. These screws, those threads are super small to mount the fuse box. But I got some metric fasteners. I like this car because everything's metric instead of the English style, that you'd be used to in another car. And here is a picture of the distribution box. So, not the most stylish, but I just kind of had to shoot it and mount it. So it's probably going to look something like that. I'm not crazy about those hot leads. Going to be close to the wall there, but we should be okay. And loomed out some of the wires. So that's your main feed coming to the fuse box. So that's loomed, and then this main feed coming into the distribution box is loomed. And I just kind of have stuff stuffed in here for now with the junction. But there's room clearance here for the other thing. So this is going to be ignition fuse here, and the back one is horn fuse. I'm not sure if there's any other relay, ignition relay, horn relay. I'm not sure if there's going to be other relays in the car, but probably for the water pump or the vacuum pump, but those could be mounted somewhere else because they're going to be definitely different style components. Although maybe I could mount them back in this general area. Maybe down here. We'll see. There are plastic covers that go in those kick panels that I do have, but we may, so I got to see if how those would fit. Just trying to keep things tidy for now, just so I don't get overwhelmed with all these wires flying around. So that's kind of the state of things right now. Happy that that's mounted up out of the way. We're gonna get this up there, and then we're gonna start hooking it up to, you know, stock spec, more or less, and any other distribution lines, you know, this is main and that's going out, so I'm okay with that. We got rid of that one, and then the one that would have been here, I'm not sure what we're gonna do with that. But yeah, horn has been deleted, and then we'll move on. I did some videos on the horn, that's good, and the lights all should be working because I had those hooked up before, so I'm just going to try to identify as much wires as I can, just so that, and you know, mark them what they are. But most of them are just lights and switches for like the courtesy light, which is that, and you know, key buzzers and all this other kind of amenity stuff that would be fun to have, but I just don't want to spend too much time fooling around with that. So that is the state of the car 3 weeks in. Yeah, it looks like I'm only gonna have the weekends to work on it, Saturday and Sunday, but we do have the month of February, so I think maybe early March, I think we're gonna see this thing move. And it was kind of cool to go into the wiring diagrams and kind of feel like I wanted to get the other harness out of the shed and bring it over here, just so I've got, like, you know, all the wires that should be in the car identified, in place, and then they could be hooked up kind of as we move along, because, you know, the center console is pretty complex, you know, and there's a lot going on in that, but there's good switches there that we can use, obviously, for the wiper blades. There's a switch for the blower motor, but there's, you know, other things like illumination and those warning lights and the flasher light, you know, if you want to kick on your flashers. So some useful things, but it is a mess underneath that, and obviously a lot of shorted stuff. Yeah, but the main thing that's kind of cool is, you know, hooking up my power to this box. I want to get that rolling so that that's charging, you know, when I'm here working on the car, because that battery does need to be charged. Okay. Yeah, hopefully we'll have the fuse box bolted up here, and, you know, some progress, almost kind of ready to kick on the lights, which would be cool. That would be important. All right, 1975 Alfa Romeo Spider, conversion to electric. Geo rides on YouTube and converttheclassics.com. Thanks for following along.